if everybody will please stand for invocation and
Let's pray. Yes. Gracious Father, we are blessed to be here today, Lord. We just thank you for your presence here among us, Lord. Lord, we lift up our county, our nation, our state, Lord, and we just ask you to bless all the deliberations and decisions that are made on our behalf. Lord, we lift up our citizens, and Lord, we just want to ask you to bless all of those families, Lord, in this Christmas season. And Lord, remind us that your Savior, Jesus Christ, is the reason that we celebrate. In Jesus' name, amen.
okay, the flag is in front of Commissioner Jordan.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to call the meeting to order for our December 5th, 2016 meeting. By general packet, we have to meet on the first Monday in December, and that's why our meeting was changed. First order of business is the oaths of office to Commissioner Jordan and to myself. We're waiting for Mrs. Williams. She's on her way.
Yeah, you said Mrs. Williams. I thought her name was Taylor Rose. I forgot she had a last name.
Good morning, Commissioner Reed.
Good morning. 3 meetings at the same time.
Who's looking after the judge?
That's a good question. Not me.
Okay, we'll raise the.
I can do it.
Okay, right. Okay, well, let's make sure we're right. Okay.
Left on the Bible, right, right. You can have your oaths.
Yeah. Here. Okay, oh, you don't have it.
No, I don't have one.
Would you like us to have one, Lane?
You just repeat after me, I mean, this is, oh, okay. All right.
Hold on.
Left on the Bible, right, yes, and you just repeat after me, and when I say your name. I,
Let's file with I.
state your name.
Let's file.
Henry Jordan,
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain
that I will support and maintain
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and the laws
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of North Carolina,
of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith.
and that I will faithfully discharge
I will faithfully discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as Gates County Commissioner,
as Gates County Commissioner,
and that I will not
and that I will not
allow my actions
allow my actions
to be influenced
to be influenced
by personal or political friendships
by personal or political friendship
or obligations.
or obligations.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Here, go ahead and get, I got signed from Linda and Mr. Jordan. Oh, there's yours, okay, sorry, okay. All right.
That hand is
You too.
citizens of Gates County, and hopefully I will try to figure out my best ability to help all the citizens of the county. Mr. Jordan?
Yes, and I express the same sentiments. Thank you for your confidence, and I look forward to serving the county for the next 4 years.
At this time, we have to turn it over to our county manager for the selection of the chairman and vice chairman.
I'd like to open the floor for nominations for the position of chair.
I'd like to nominate Ms. Linda Hopper for chair.
Second.
Any other nominations? Hear a motion to close nominations?
So moved.
I'll take that as a second as well. All those in favor of Commissioner Hopper being chair for the next year, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I now open the floor for nominations for vice chair.
I'm sure I nominate Commissioner Jack Owens.
Second that nomination.
Is there any other nominations?
Make a motion that nominations be closed.
All those in favor of closing nominations? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All those in favor of Commissioner Owens being vice chair for the coming year, say aye. Those opposed? I'll turn the meeting back over to Chair Hopper.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, my colleagues. I'll try to do the best job. Y'all keep me straight.
Thank you. Thank you as well, sir.
Okay, moving on to Roman numeral 4, approval of the minutes. We have a lot of minutes to approve. The special minutes on October 25th, 2016, the regular meeting on November 1st, 2016, the special meeting on November 21st, 2016, and our regular meeting on November 21st, 2016. Are there any corrections to the minutes?
Madam Chairman, there were several administrative corrections and additions that were forwarded to clerk of the board, and I take it that they were implemented as presented. We will make a motion to accept the minutes based on the implementation of the corrections submitted.
Okay, a motion's been made to approve the minutes as corrected.
I'll second that motion.
Motion has been seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Okay, moving on to agenda adjustments. I do have a couple to the public hearing for the adoption of the Gates County Comprehensive Plan. We're going to move that up to after the delegations up there. So instead of being Roman numeral 7, we'll move it to Roman numeral 6. Right after 6. No, it's Roman numeral 8. Yeah, we'll move it to Roman numeral 7 in front of that. He has to be at Elizabethtown later this afternoon, so to get him on the road.
It'll be 7-4.
It'll be right after the delegations, after the Trillium annual report.
Public hearing administrator.
Straight. We'll-
So we just renumber everything, make that 7, and make
Yes.
7, 8. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Make that 7, and then 8, and that's the only thing we got to do is flip those. Okay, in addition, under new business, we need to add to the budget amendments 21. We have 15 through 20, but we need 21 as well. We need to add number 6, election budget request from the Board of Elections. Number 7, holiday luncheon on 12/13. And number 8, flex time is extension requested. Are there any all adjustments to the agenda?
Madam Chairman, I noted under some of the administrative articles of interest, there's an email from Alicia Cobb requesting that commissioners appointed a commissioner or representative to attend the July 12th through 13 legislative goals conference, so that we will have a voting delegate for that conference. And also, there was supposed to be a form that was submitted So I'd like to add that to the agenda under new business so that we can appoint someone or a representative to represent this county.
Okay, I thought we just take care of an administrative reports, but we can add new business, okay, to appoint commissioner
Well, it's commissioner or representative.
or representative, yeah.
Number 9.
Yes. Okay, any and all additions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the agenda as corrected?
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Okay, tonight's delegations. Okay, first up is Mr. Earl Reintrich.
Hello, I'm Earl Roundtree, Folly Road, North Carolina, Sunbury. I'm gonna make this brief today, Jack. My speech was supposed to last about 45 minutes, but you got a lot on your plate today. And I'm just going to sort of throw the ball out there to you today. As you know, we had the referendum on the school and the middle school, which it failed. My presentation real quickly is about some information that I got from other commissioners. And it's not anything, these people are anonymous because you can understand that. And Jack told me something, I wouldn't use his name. But I went and called some of my friends, I think they're my friends, in other places. Commissioners have been commissioners longer than any of y'all. And, interesting thing about the Board of Education and the commissioners, this one guy who's been a commissioner for a long time, chairman for many years, and he brought out a lot of points, and I didn't even ask for them. And it seemed like to me he had already knew what was going on in Gates County. No, he didn't. It was just the relationship between the boards of education and the commissioners. So I just wanted to quickly share this with you. And Madam Chairman, I would like to reserve the right to come back after the meeting. I got some politics to talk about after everybody goes home and you get with everything else, so let's discuss that. Real quick, I'd like to think about the school system as a three-legged stool. And he brought all these things out with his experience. Number one, this county has built new schools. The referendum failed. We don't have any money. People complaining about high taxes. So it would be very hard for, at this point in time, to think that y'all are going to build a $16 million school. So that leg of the chair is a little bit, we won't discuss it much, but however, he did make a point that down the road in the future, if y'all are here, or whoever is here, is, and I didn't realize this, and sometimes that, all these people that I talk to know Natalie, you know, that's, at least their previous jobs. But, you know, he said that the county commissioners built the school. The county commissioners. And the reason he said that was, he says, we are the ones that have to raise taxes, we are the ones that get the grief from the taxpayers, and we are the ones responsible for building the schools. What he told me, Natalie, and sometimes your academics may not match up to what's been done, that the Board of Education deeded the county, the school property. The county commissioners then built the school. The reason they did that because it was the money. He said these school board members, he said, they don't have to raise taxes. They don't catch the grief from raising taxes. They just like to spend the money and let you catch the grief. So we've solved that problem because we built the school to suit ourselves based on what, you know, they needed. It wasn't that. But then they deeded it back to this Board of Education. And so much for that. But this is what comes up, and this is what fits into y'all today. And this is not just one person, this is several people, but I'm using this one man as an example because he has been in the business a long time and I trust his opinion greatly. He said that the other two legs of the chair are sort of tied together. But part of this has to do with funding money. And this is, I think, is showed up here in Gates County, in my opinion. Now, this is, I mean, based on what I see, that you as commissioners put the school board and the superintendent give them this money, thinking this money may be going to a certain cause. And at the end of the year, 3 or 4 years down the road, we find out they're saying that Central Middle School is falling down. I keep hearing this work needs to be done at Buckland that's never been done, and y'all were giving the money. So he said, it is very important, it was to him, and the other commissioner said the same thing. He said, we really had to bring them in and keep an eye on that. And the other part of that stool, that leg of that stool was, he said that as commissioners, that they keep a close eye. And this is what I want to point out when Natalie gives us a finance officer, but that keep a close eye on the school budget and the school expenditures and what they're doing. He said, you know, by law, y'all can go get it anytime you want to. I can't really. I just ain't got sense enough to understand it. But go and see where this money is going. Don't just wait to the end of the year. Don't wait to budget time. But if you get complaints from parents that something needs to be done at Central Middle School or at Buckland, your responsibility is to find out where the money is going to. And I'm going to close with that today for this point of the program. But I'm probably looking for a bodyguard. Stormy looks like a good guy. The sheriff's here. I'm going to the Board of Education meeting tonight. And I know that won't be a friendly thing for me. I'm a little concerned about my health, but I'll go anyway. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Rankin. Okay, Wade Askew.
Good morning. Hope you all have a good Thanksgiving. And you know, just a couple, 2 or 3 days coming up, this December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day. And our country has come a long way since World War II. And probably in the next 20 years, we will probably have land on Mars. Maybe even start a colony on Mars. But, and the reason I'm saying that is because at the last meeting, you know, I spoke back, you know, we use credit card. And I'm still on it because I think it's a good thing, just like with the water department. Somebody had the water cut off, they can go down, credit card, pay, they're out of there. But now you got to run around, get this, that, and another thing. And there are systems like that that can tie the convenience fee right into it and have it all separated. And that's enough about that. But at the last meeting I did attend, you put on the voter referendum for what raised 12 cents for the new school. Well, with the 4 cent and then the 12 cents, that would, if it would have passed, that would have made a tax rate of 80 cents, I believe. And you know, that don't sound too bad. Berkeley County's tax rate is 83 cents, and Hertford County's tax rate is 84 cents. So that sounds pretty good. But one thing you probably haven't really thought about, our property values are much greater than what theirs are. So, any time you have a revamp, correct me, Ms. Lane, did our tax value, property values come down by 10% on general this time probably?
Well, they are likely, as we get those final values, that would be realistic, yes.
Okay, but over time, if the property, see, we have extremely high property values. And you have to be careful when you raise property value, tax rates when you have high property value. Next revale, suppose our property values come down 30, maybe 40%, put us more in line with our neighboring counties, we'd be looking at a $1.60 tax rate. You think, well, that can't happen. Yes, it can happen, and it's happened here in North Carolina. There was a county that every 4 years was doing their revale. They were wanting to catch the rise in property value. But one revale come in, the property value is plunged. They were calling them back. So they didn't have time to really do anything. So, but they did have the option to postpone the next revale for another 4 years. So they could regroup and everything, get their finances back in order for the falling property values. And just keep that in mind, because you can't always raise taxes every time you need. When we built up it's capable of Boone County. I don't think tax values would increase all that much to the citizens. We have some 40 grocery stores here in the county. There were car dealerships in the county, appliance stores, more sawmills. We had more ag businesses here in the county. Before you think about building a new school, think about building Gates County. People call it economic development. It's not economic development for Gates County. It's rebuilding Gates County. We are in a fix, and I'm hoping this situation right here, where the 12 seats referendum didn't pass, maybe it'll give an eye opening to more citizens and maybe to some members here on the board. Because we got to rebuild Gates County before we could move forward building schools. And by saying that, that's just one school. In a few years, what you're going to do, we're going to have 5 schools rebuilt, and you can't even rebuild one school. What we're going to do, the schools go down, and we contract our kids to Children County and Hertford County. That don't make a whole lot of sense. When you have the opportunity to rebuild Gates County, and you've got to get on it. I mean, it's time's wasted. You know, some people might say, well, I can't support sewage or anything like that because that's taxpayer money. Well, that's what you do. You put in utilities to bring business. You don't use taxpayer money to build golf clubs, country golf courses and country clubs. But you do use taxpayer money to build the financial structure for the county. And it's going to take time to do it. It's not going to happen overnight, but you can't let no more time waste because we're losing ground as we go. And just look at how many businesses we've lost in the past 6 years. And how many businesses have come to the county? Very few, if any. And all of that, you know, it'll count. It hurts the county. My father-in-law served on the board of trustees to a certain hospital, I won't say where, but his father-in-law was on that board of trustees before he was. And he was on the board of trustees when they built the hospital. And I asked him, well, when they formed the board of trustees, how long did it take them before they built the hospital? He kind of chuckled a little bit, said it took a long, long time. And I said, well, what in the world was the problem? He said, first of all, they had to get rid of 3 things: selfishness, jealousy, and greed. He said, once they got rid of them 3 things, they got a hospital. Now, Abraham Lincoln was traveling in a carriage one day, and the gentleman sitting across from the carriage said, we're in general conversation, and Lincoln said, you know, everything a person does is guided by one thing. And the guy said, what in the world is that? And Lincoln said, selfishness. The guy just busted out laughing and said, Lincoln, you don't know what in the world you're talking about. So as they traveled along, they come across this narrow bridge going across the river. And as they were going across that bridge, they heard this god-awful noise. So Lincoln stopped the carriage, went down to the river, and there were 9 pigs stuck in the mud. And the old mama started chasing back and forth, just making a fuss. So Lincoln reached down and he picked those 9 pigs up one by one, dodging the old side, taking them to the riverbank. He cleaned himself off, got back in the carriage, and the guy on the other side of the carriage sat there and looked at him. And Lincoln said, what? And the guy said, now you tell me, what does selfishness have to do with you saving those 9 pigs? Lincoln said, well, you see, tonight, when I go to bed, I know those 9 pigs are safe up on that riverbank, so when the tide comes in, they won't drain. And furthermore, I ain't have to worry about that side making that god-awful fuss. But don't let anything like that bother you from trying to promote the county. I would love to see our Board of Commissioners, the Chamber of Commerce, and the Northeast Commission sit down and meet together to try to rebuild Gates County. And I'm not calling it economic development, I'm calling it rebuilding. Because rebuilding is what it's got to be. You realize we only have one bona fide grocery store in the county today. And I'm predicting within the next 2 years that won't be here. We have Dollar General and we have Family Dollar, but that's not a bona fide grocery store. So, I didn't hope I didn't say anything to offend anyone, because I think the world of each and every one of you up there. And I do want to commend y'all for, doing the job, and I hope that there's people like me trying to speak up and try to push the county forward so we can build new schools and have flood schools for our kids. That you've got to rebuild the county first before we can think about building a $20 million school. Thank y'all, and hope y'all have a good program.
Thank you, Mr. Askew. I'm not sure I'm going to pronounce his last name correctly. Small Business Administrator, no?
I'll introduce myself.
Oh, thank you.
Honorable Commissioners, thanks for having me here. I am Tamin Chaudhary, that's a TAMIN from the U.S. Small Business Administration. And we're basically here because of Hurricane Matthew being Presidential Disaster Declaration. SBA offers low-interest, long-term loans for businesses, nonprofits, homeowners, and renters that have been affected by any sort of natural disasters. I would ask any of you who know anyone, any of you in the audience, that knows anyone who's been affected by this disaster, to pass on this message. Please register with FEMA immediately if you haven't done so as of yet. I have flyers with me. I'll be here even after the meeting, so you can, if you have any questions or anything. For FEMA, you can contact them at disasterassistance.gov or by simply calling 1-800-621-FEMA. That's the first step. Now, for all concerned parties, that includes homeowners, renters, businesses, and nonprofits, if anyone is interested in the loan option, you can apply for loans by going to sba.gov, calling our 1-800 number, 1-800-659-2955 to apply over the phone, or simply just visit one of our disaster recovery centers. They're located across North Carolina. Starting off with business owners and nonprofit managers, these loans can go up to $2 million for any sort of physical damages. That includes real estate, inventory, equipment. The interest rate can be as low as 4% for businesses. For nonprofits, it may be as low as 2.6%. We also offer economic injury loans for working capital. People often ask me, what is an economic injury loan? We like to use the example of having a hot dog stand up on a hill. Say your hot dog stand is just fine, but because of the flooding, none of your customers can get up to you, so you have an economic injury. That's where SBA comes in. Moving on to your homeowners and renters. Homeowners may qualify for assistance to $200,000. The loan may be as low as 1.5%. And for renters and homeowners, they can qualify for loans that may move up to $40,000. And that's for your personal property damages. I've heard a lot of stories about people's vehicles being damaged, so that's where that falls in. All of these loans may carry up to a repayment time of 30 years. We ask your homeowners, anybody that you know, we ask the homeowners and renters to go ahead and qualify themselves for the SBA loans, even if they don't think they need it. Because here's how it works. Say John Smith applies for a loan. If he or she is rejected, we transfer the case on to FEMA. FEMA has this other needs assistance program. And that's when, say, my counterpart in SBA asks the counterpart in FEMA that, hey, listen, since SBA couldn't help him out here, she didn't qualify for a loan, does FEMA have any funds? So we don't want people to block themselves from additional assistance. So there's no harm in applying for the loan. They don't have any application fees, any closing costs or anything. The main reason I'm here is because the deadline is January 9th, and with the holidays and all, we all know that will come up like that. And after January 9th, it's too late. It's one of those federal rules. You can't really change it. Someone comes to me and says, hey, can I apply? I'll be just saying, sorry, sir, or ma'am, it's too late. That's for your physical damages. For economic damages, it's July 10th. Now, I would ask everyone, if you know anyone in this county, to just please consider the option of the loans. You don't have to take it. It's just a comfort. We see oftentimes that your FEMA grant and your insurance settlement, it's not enough. That loan option fills in the gap for a full step recovery. Thus far, SBA has approved over $57.3 million in North Carolina for businesses and nonprofits. I believe more than 1,500 homes and businesses have already been approved, so they're on the road to recovery. I'll be here even after the meeting if anybody has any questions. I do thank you for your time and wish everyone a speedy recovery.
Thank you, and certainly we'll get the word out to my citizens.
Much appreciated.
Okay, moving on to Blaine Baker is here. That's all of the unannounced delegations. With a Knights delegation, Blaine Baker from Trulia for his annual.
Thank you, Madam Chairman and Commissioners. Thank you all for the opportunity to be presented today, to give you an update about what Trillium is doing in the 24 County catchment area. I want to thank Commissioner Freeman for serving on my advisory board. He was your all's appointee, Commissioner appointee to our advisory board, and I believe he also serves on our Human Rights Committee as well for Trillium. So I'll try to be as brief as I can, but I did want to talk a little bit about what we've been doing in our 10 counties and across our 24 counties. The 10 counties is my region, from Martin County all the way from Martin to Prairie So July 1, 2015 marked our 1-year anniversary for our consolidation between Eastern Behavioral Health and Coastal Care. We continue to keep our focus on being sure that people are provided with the right service at the right time and the right amount. One of the biggest things that we do every year, even before our merger with Coastal Care, we're mandated by the state to do a needs and gaps analysis. We choose to do that by hiring an outside agency so that hopefully it removes any prejudice or bias that we may have to get an independent study, a very objective opinion about what our services, what our needs and gaps are. So some of the things that that they look at, and it's a year-long process. As soon as we get one needs and gap published, they already start working on the next one. So they look at a lot of demographic and health information. They look at national prevalence of mental health, developmental disabilities, and substance abuse services across the nation, and how we compare in our 24 counties. They survey lots of stakeholders, consumers, community individuals. They look at our complaints and our grievances in our system. They look at our needs, our registry of unmet needs, which is the wait list, keep a running wait list of all the individuals who call in our access department looking for services, and if they're not available or if there's a wait list, we keep track of those. They take a look at those. They also use geomapping. They actually look at all of our consumers, plot them on a map, and look at all the services that are in our area and see how far the consumers are to the services, because we have to maintain a 30-minute, 30-mile radius between the consumers and the services that they access. In terms of how they look at this information, they actually develop surveys that are specific to consumers. We charge them with getting those surveys out to the consumers and communities by using focus groups. They develop surveys for our boards, our advisory boards, our consumer and family advisory committees. They actually collect all that information and they compile a report, and they make a recommendation and present it to our governing board for their adoption. So that based on that, and once we get that done, then it's posted on our website. So the most current needs and gaps analysis is posted on our website. So just some statistics. In 2015, we served approximately 50,000 individuals across our 24 counties. 81% of those had mental health issues. 21% of those had substance abuse disorders, and 11% of those had intellectual and developmental disabilities. The total cost was $315 million approximately. So also in our network, we have approximately 400 providers that we contract with across our 24 counties to provide services to our consumers. Some of the things that we've already been doing and continue to do, we look at, and something that our needs and gaps analysis talks about, is looking at ways to increase our access to services, making it more easy to access those services. One of the things, one of the largest things is removing the prior authorization. So it's the same thing as if you go to the doctor and you need a scan, you got to call your insurance company and get them approval before they can do that scan. It's the same thing with behavioral health services. So all the services in our service array have a medical necessity piece, and everybody's got to meet that criteria. So for any services that people are trying to access, we have to authorize those services based on the medical necessity criteria. But what we've done, in some of those instances, we have removed because we are a managed care organization, we have some leeway with the state, we have removed some of those prior authorizations. So, for example, outpatient therapy is the basic mental health service. That's the service that people use first. And in terms of the state, for adults, you get 8 unmanaged visits. And then once you get to the 9th visit, you have to get prior authorization before you can continue that treatment. For children, it's 16 visits. But we have made the prior authorization, we've increased it to 24. So it's very seldom that an individual would use 24 unmanaged visits in a 12-month period. So hopefully that helps to access for those services without the provider having to go through the hassle of getting the prior authorization. So for 24 visits for children and adults, we have extended that authorization so they don't have to get prior authorization for that. One of the other things we've done for any of the outpatient substance abuse services, which is always the biggest area that comes up in any of our needs and gaps. That is the biggest need and gap across our 24 counties is the substance abuse services. So we've actually done away with the prior authorization for any substance abuse services that will help increase that access to those services. We also have a wellness recovery action planning classes. That's one of the areas that your money goes to pay for. We contract with Recovery Innovations, and they give recovery classes for folks with mental illness and substance abuse struggles in all 24 of our counties. I didn't bring a schedule. We get a schedule every month. One of the things they do, they have these classes in all of our counties, and they do have some scheduled in Gates County at various locations. And these are free to the community. And so that's where part of your money is spent that you give to Trillium from the county. One of the other things that we're using technology for, psychiatrists are very hard to find. They're very hard to come by. We are getting more involved in telepsychiatry. It's not, for a lot of people, probably not what some would say would be the best use, but when you don't have a psychiatrist at all, and you can have a psychiatrist via telehealth or telemedicine, that's better than having none at all. So we are implementing telepsychiatry in some of our rural areas as well. Some of the other things that we are able to do because we are a managed care organization, we do have some leeway with rates. So we've enhanced the rates that psychiatrists get and psychologists. The state publishes the rates for all of our services. And if we see fit to adjust those rates, we're able to do that. So for psychiatrists, we have enhanced those rates. Some of the other services, like facility-based crisis, it's in a Hosking. And for mobile crisis, we have actually enhanced those rates as well to make it more attractive for some of the providers to come into areas that normally might not come in. So, the main thing I want to talk about a little bit today, and this is the meat of what I want to talk about, is our reinvestment plan. The reinvestment plan is based on our savings. And we get our savings, again, we authorize the right service in the right amount at the right time. Anything left over, we put back in the community. So that's the major difference in a public managed care organization where we take all our savings, we reinvest in the community to, based on what the needs and gaps dictate. We take a look at what that says and try to find ways to spend that money to serve the most people. So as opposed to a commercial managed care organization who their profits, they go back in their pockets. So we try to put all that money back out in the community. So some of the things we are doing in terms of recovery-oriented services, as I've said, the substance abuse is the biggest gap we have. we're building and funding a 200-bed facility in Greenville for anyone struggling with substance abuse, any type of addiction. The great thing about that facility is that it's the only one in the eastern part of the state that it can be a long-term facility. I think the average is about 460 days in that program, and it costs nothing to the consumer. The thing about folks that struggle with substance abuse is they don't qualify for Medicaid, and or even disability, so they have no way to pay for their services. So with this is a nonprofit organization that is a replica of the one in Raleigh, and I think the major difference is if someone goes into detox, for example, and they go to detox for 7 days, and then maybe they have to go on a wait list or to go into maybe some long-term treatment. If they use or they drink, if they're on a 2-week wait list, if they use or drink in that period of time, then they lose their slot. They're not allowed to go to that program. With the healing transitions, it doesn't matter. You have to respond when people are getting treatment, and so you can go read off the street. You can walk in, it's kind of serves as an emergency shelter, as well as a place where people can go and get help with addiction. So we've established a nonprofit board. The executive director will be responsible for raising money to support that facility. So we're very excited about that. So one of the other things we're doing with the Oxford House, which has sober living homes, we have contracted with them to establish 20 more of those homes across our 24 counties, and hopefully some, at least 1 or 2 maybe in our area, up in the northern region. They're working on that now. And that's just places where individuals can go when they've been through treatment and they need somewhere to live. So, the other thing, I'm not going to talk about every one of these, but because I know I'm working with time. But one of the other things, the areas that our needs and gaps dictates is around individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. One of the things that we heard loud and clear from some of the focus groups, from some of the families with children with developmental disabilities, was nowhere to congregate and meet for support groups that they can learn and help work, learn from each other. And so we actually contracted with 3 different providers to have a facility. The closest one to Gates County is in Ahoskie. But it's a summer camp during the summertime when kids are out of school. Then there's an after-school component. And there's also a respite component, so that parents can, if they need a break, they can drop their child off at the facility and go do their errands, or if they need to a place to go after school, they can use that facility as well. We actually, in the beginning, started opening that program only to folks who were on the wait list, who were already seeking services. And then once they were satisfied, then we let other individuals into the program. But it also is a place for families to go to have support groups and lead support groups to help them just bounce ideas off of each other in terms of their frustrations, either with the system or meeting the needs of their children. We have 9 or 10 of those going up across our catchment area. There's also an adult component to that program as well. Ahoskie already started their adult program, so it's for adults, maybe those kids that are 18 that are transitioning into adulthood with nothing to do. That's one of the things we're doing for developmental disabilities. The other thing was the accessible playgrounds, which, Gates County has a playground. And in my 10 counties, we have 2 more left for our dedications. One's in Northampton and the other one's in Mercer County. But all the rest of my counties have their playground, and I think I hope they're being utilized, and they seem to be a great asset to the community, and people are using those. So, and we did 30 of those across our 24 counties. Moving along, the other thing that the needs and gaps talk about is evidence-based services. And that means that if you have a service or a model that's evidence-based, it means that if you provide the service exactly like the model says, there's data that shows that if you do that, these are the outcomes that you're going to get. If you deviate from that model, then you're not going to get the same outcome. And services that are evidence-based have much better outcomes than other services in our service array. One of the things that we realize with our needs and gaps is that there's a gap in our service array for children from 0 to 6 years old. We used to have that service years and years ago, but they took it away from mental health and put it under Head Start and those kind of facilities. But we actually have contracted with a provider in Connecticut that has an evidence-based practice. It's called Child Parent Psychotherapy or Child First. And that's based on the premise that for these children that are experiencing trauma, it could be domestic violence, it could be homelessness, it could be abuse, neglect. A lot of times these children we might get referrals from DSS. So this program, it's based on the earlier you can intervene in children's lives who have experienced trauma, the less likely they're going to develop mental health issues later on. So we contracted with 3 providers across our area. Gates County is served by a provider in Elizabeth City that actually we paid for the training of these clinicians in child parent psychotherapy. And the thing is that it's paired with a clinician and an individual that serves as like a case manager that helps the family meet their physical needs, if they need food, if they need housing, those kind of things. They work on that while the clinician is working on restoring that relationship between the child and the parent. That's one of the things that we've invested in with evidence-based practices. Another thing that we've done, especially in innovation services, which is services for intellectual and developmental disabilities, that frontline staff is probably, they have the hardest jobs. And they probably are paid the least of anybody. So the staff turnover rate is very high among those types of providers, and even with mental health services as well. So the direct course workforce development is a series of trainings that gives those individuals a certification in training, and it boosts their morale, their ego. They have something to carry with them if they go from one agency to another. They've been trained in these series of trainings. And what we've learned just by our research is that those providers that invest in this program, their staff turnover is less. What we've done, we've opened up our provider network, and we started with 18 providers. And one of the things that we expect in that contract is that we've given these providers initiatives to invest in this program. We pay for the curriculum. And so when we give these incentives, and we expect them to in turn take that money and give raises to their staff, and that's part of the contract. And frankly, that's been a hard part of the contract for some people to swallow, but that's part of our requirement, so that it does give some of that money back to those direct care staff. And it does. It improves patient care, it decreases staff turnover, it gives them a sense of being trained for something important, and it gives them more work. So some of the other things in evidence-based practices, we did the Rachel's Challenge, which is a evidence-based curriculum that's based on reduction of bullying, suicide in the school systems. Last year we did that in the middle and the high schools, and some of our schools asked if there was a curriculum for elementary schools, and there is. And so we have actually funded that program to be offered in all 170 of our elementary schools across our 24 counties. I already talked about the Wellness Recovery Action Planning, which is those classes that help adults with mental illness, helps them with recovery, and it helps them manage their symptoms and to live more independently. Again, your money pays for those services that we provide. Mental health first aid training is a curriculum. There's two curriculums. This is for lay people. So it's a training that we provide, and it's free to all individuals. There's an adolescent component, and then there's a training for adults. And basically, it's great for school systems. It's great for emergency room staff, or just anybody. So to kind of help teach at a basic level mental health type struggles, signs to look for, people getting in trouble, those kind of things. So we're paying for those trainings as well. I'm almost done, I'll say. The other thing, in terms of technology, we have actually contracted with Pitt County Community College to build what is called a smart home on their premises. It has all the latest technology to allow people with mental health or disability struggles to live independently as possible. The home is equipped with automatic medication dispensers, appliances that cut off automatically when the person's not standing right there. Could roll in, showers, bathrooms, ramps for the home, all the latest technology. So, and they're doing that, and they're actually using it as a learning tool for the occupational therapists and physical therapists to come and train on all of those different types of processes and all of the equipment that is the latest that they can use to kind of help people be more independent. The other thing we've done is the kiosk. You all have one in the courthouse, and that is that's a website. It's a private website that individuals can go to, and they can do screenings. There are 8 different screenings on that website. You can access it from your smartphone, and you can go on our website, and it will give you the link. Or if you can go to the kiosk itself, you can do those screenings. They're privacy booth. There is a phone. There's a voice over IP connected to that kiosk. So if someone takes a private screening and they're in trouble, and it will tell them you need to seek, based on the way you answer those questions, it will tell you that you need to seek treatment. They can pick the telephone up right there at the kiosk, and it automatically connects into our access to Caroline. They can get an appointment right there if they choose to do that. The Choose Independent Grants, this is for those individuals that are on our wait list. The durable medical equipment is equipment that Medicaid doesn't pay for under normal circumstances, but we have a pot of money for those individuals that may be waiting for a slot for innovation services. We can give them a ramp while they're waiting for services, or we can access their bathroom for roll-in showers, that kind of thing. We can do some other things with that money while people wait for services. So this is just a few of the things that we're doing across our counties to kind of enhance those services. Ways that we can help each other. Just briefly, I mentioned the crisis intervention training, which is a training for law enforcement around how to deal with mental health individuals who are in crisis. It might keep them from going to jail in some situations. That is a free training to all law enforcement, whether it's police or sheriff's departments. It also is for EMS staff. So we were able to hire another CIT trainer. That's where the rest of your money goes, to provide those services and those trainings in our area. Some of the other things that we do, there is a community collaborative that every county has that focuses on child services. There's a system of care coordinator that's assigned to your county. They meet on a monthly basis, and their stakeholders come to that meeting. All providers of child services, DSS, health department, all types of individuals, community stakeholders come to that meeting to talk about services for children, where the gaps are, if there are specifically children that are in need of services. That's where they can talk about how they can access services. They'll bring Trillium involved into that meeting. That's where the system of care coordinator comes into play, and it can help them figure out the best way to access services, how we can get services for them individually. And the other thing is, just to continue to respond to needs and gaps at our local level. The other thing that we've done, I'm sure you're aware, the North Carolina Association for County Commissioners have a mental health task force. And they actually came up with 4 areas that they wanted to see addressed. And of course, they're strengthening the relationships with our county commissioners to our Trillium staff, and then to focus on access to services at the local level, prevention, and then just to learn more about the behavioral health needs and the services in their area. And we've actually developed a response to that plan, and we'll be sharing that at a later date coming up, and working locally with our commissioners to figure out how to address those things that they have, that the commissioners have actually put in place. So specifically, in terms of Gates County, this is a little misleading because you know that there are little to no services that are actually located in Gates County. There's a couple of group homes, and that's all in terms of what is actually here. But a lot of the services in our service array are services that are required to be provided in consumers' homes. So the provider does not have to have a site in that county to be able to provide services. So outpatient therapy, and of course, it's in Elizabeth City, it's in Ahoskie, we have outpatient therapy services provided, medication management. Again, even though there's nothing here in Gates County, we do have pretty close access to these services. That's why I've listed all these. We do have inpatient at Northside, which is, I think for our area, we do in our 3 or 4 county area, we have a lot of services that even other areas do not have. And, inpatient services at Northside is one of those. We have a facility-based crisis, a detox in Ahoskie, for individuals that are struggling with substance abuse issues. We have a psychosocial rehab program, which is a day program that's in Ahoskie as well for adults who struggle with mental illness. It's a day program where they can go and learn more about managing their illness, managing their symptoms, being more independent. Local crisis management is a very important service in all of our counties. It's a service that can be utilized by law enforcement, can be utilized by magistrates, by other providers. If they have consumers that are struggling or in crisis, they can actually access that service. A lot of the other services listed in the PowerPoint, such as intensive in-home services, multi-systemic therapy, and Child First, all those services are services that are provided in the consumer's home. So it's not really necessary that the provider be actually located in the county, so you still have the access to those services. And then, of course, we have the innovation services, which is slot management service by the state for this in collection of elderly disabilities. So I just want to give you a few statistics about for consumers in 2015. We served a total of 277 consumers in 2015. 229 of those had mental health issues. 34 of those had substance abuse issues, and 43 of those had intellectual developmental facilities. And I hope that, as we move forward, we'll be able to increase the number of services that are provided in all of our counties. But do y'all have any questions? That's kind of a very quick, well, maybe wasn't so quick. But I just think it's important that you all know what our efforts are, and that, if you have concerns, all of you can certainly call me and we can certainly talk about those issues. But are there any questions about anything else?
Just a comment, certainly the playground at the community center has been a big hit. Every time I go by there, someone is like using it.
Good,
So,
that's good.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to also comment and thank Mr. Baker and all the Trillium assets that have come forward. But the crisis intervention has been most successful, I think, in Gates County through the sheriff's office. And our sheriff has had us trained as deputy sheriffs with the crisis intervention crew. And lastly, and I was kind of waiting some of the things that I was going to mention, but one that is that the conduit that you have provided for the sheriff's offices and magistrates is really containing with what we call IBC, involuntary commitments. And so that has been successful and is continuing on. So I want to thank the Treasurer for that.
Thank you.
Well, it sounds like you have some pretty good connections with our law enforcement and possibly Department of Social Services. But for the average citizens, I believe Trillium is very low visibility.
Well,
And what I'm about to say is, and I'll give you an address in a second, is that if there was some way that the citizens could have a point of contact, and maybe we could put it on our website. The substance abuse, mental health, and so forth. So we have that on our website, so the average citizen can know where to go and get benefit from these services. I think that would be a big plus.
one of our responses to that plan I was just talking about from county commissioners is to, in the process of contacting all of our counties, whether it's the health department or our county websites, to have our link to Trillium put on those websites so people can access that. And what's amazing to me is that as long as we've been around, it's been a long time. We've changed names several different times, but the number of people who don't know we exist, and I guess you don't know, if you don't need us, you don't know we're there until you need somebody, need something. But we do have an access to Caroline. It's an 800 number that anyone can call. They get a brief telephonic screening, and based on that, we can get to an appointment with the provider right then. So we are working to be more visible, but certainly one of the things about putting our link on the county's website, we can do big help. And we are going to be contacting all of our counties to be sure that our link is, if you go to put our link on that website, they'll be able to access.
And my chairman and the board, I'm asking our county manager would make a note of that and make sure we follow up on that and try to get that done.
One other thing that I'd certainly like to bring forward too, Mr. Baker, and that is that we are addressing, and it has been addressed and identified from I-95 East, we have the largest substance abuse above, if I'm not mistaken, 25 and younger. Is that it, or 30 and younger of the population in North Carolina?
Well, as I said, that always comes up in any effort that we have. We're also doing another, of course it doesn't affect this far north, but we're doing another 200-bed facility in Wilmington, because they have a big concentration of drug-related issues there as well. So, and until our facility is built, we've actually purchased several beds in the Raleigh facility, so that when we have individuals that really need that long-term rehab, we've kind of got a reservation. So we've got about 15 people from our area up in Raleigh right now at that facility. So we are trying to address that. That is probably the biggest issue that we continue to have.
Mr. Baker, for your report and continue to improve services that you provide for Gates County citizens.
Thank you for your time, I appreciate it.
At this time, I entertain a motion for a public hearing for the adoption of the Gates County Comprehensive Plan.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to enter into a public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, consider us in public hearing for the Gates County Comprehensive Plan. And Mr. Holland, Mr. Holland, group.
Thank you very much. If I may, before I make some remarks concerning the plan, I'd like to thank Gates County for giving us the opportunity to work for you on the development of the plan. We very much appreciate it. And if I may, I'd also like to acknowledge that Charlotte Owens, the district planner for the Division of Coastal Management, is here with us for the public hearing. She was the state planner that was contacted for the county as we went through the process, and she orchestrated and managed the state review of the plan. And the plan at this point has been through the entire state review process. We had what were, in my opinion, some minor comments concerning revisions to the final draft. All of those comments have been responded to, and we are through with all of the state's review process with one final step. If you approve the plan will go forward in February to the Division of Coastal Management, Coastal Resources Commission, for their certification of the plan as your current land use plan. When we developed the plan, we were fortunate to have a very good committee to work with that you folks had appointed, an 8-member committee which was chaired by Mr. Thomas Morgan. Their footprint, if you will, is all over this document. This is a plan that I feel like, because of their guidance and input, is truly a county plan, and it's not something that we just drafted and handed to you. One of the focuses of the plan was to try to identify the assets that are here in the county and to look at ways to preserve and build on those assets. And we had these assets identified through a citizen participation process. Back in the fall of 2015, we had a citizens input meeting that was held at the community center that we had about 30 people in attendance at that meeting. And between the committee and the participation in that citizen participation process, the main assets that were identified were Merchants Mill Pond, the agricultural economy, the forest economy, the wildlife and the preservation of that wildlife in the county, and the existing businesses that you have in the county, and the value of those existing businesses to Gates County. And from that basis, we developed a plan that I think reflects the preservation of those assets, and at the same time gives a good bit of attention to the need to develop additional or future businesses and industry, and focuses on several industrial park areas along US 13. So I think there's a balance in the plan between the need to try to grow and expand certain aspects of the economy, and at the same time preserve and protect the economy that sustained you over the years, being primarily local business, agriculture, tourism, which I think is increasing in the county because of some of those assets. So I think the plan again reflects that balance, and the next step would be for you folks to adopt the plan, and then it will again move forward in February to Coastal Resources for their certification. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions you might have, but I think you have a good document to help direct for you the future of what's going to happen.
document, 157 pages. We were not provided with a hard copy. We were directed to go to the website. But one of the things I noticed on the second page, page 1-3, was that the CPAC submitted the draft plan to Gates County Planning Board for review and recommendations to the Gates County Board of Commissioners. When did that happen?
That was back in the spring, wasn't it?
In July.
So we didn't have a
Yes.
formal recommendation.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
The plan, I apologize for that. I should have said that. The planning board, the committee unanimously recommended the plan to the planning board, and the planning board unanimously recommended that the plan move forward to the Board of Commissioners. Subject to state review and comment, and there were no significant state comments that required the plan to go back to the planning board. And that was a part of their decision, that if there were significant state comments, they wanted to have the plan come back. There were none, so the plan moved forward to you folks for your consideration. And I apologize, I should have mentioned.
I don't mean to be overbearing, but I did take the time to go through it. I didn't read it thoroughly, but I scanned over it and some of the observations that I had, I wanted to make known. I did notice on our businesses in the county, under healthcare, it was considered from an employment standpoint, this is below 50 employees. I wondered if the Gates House was included in that. It just seemed rather low with Gates House down east and with the other medical centers that we have. It just seemed, pharmacy and all like that. It just seemed that we would have more than 50. That's just something, that was an observation.
If I may, a lot of these are referring to 2013 data.
2013.
Yes, sir. So Gates House was not in existence in 2013.
Okay, and so that means that on page 3-32, where it talks about the fire departments are funded through a countywide fee levy on homes and businesses, and these taxes are collected through the tax department, and it does not support EMS. So we do have a 4-cent tax that was implemented this year. Of course, that would be included in there, is what we're saying.
Correct.
Okay.
All of this was completed before this tax year. This plan was compiled last year and presented in July.
On the Appendix A, those dates don't seem, the last date doesn't seem to be correct. It says, under schedule for the comprehensive land use planning process, it says the issue notice to proceed May 15th, project initiation May through July 2015, research and analysis, plan development July through December 2015, and public hearing January, February 2015. Is that an error, or is that?
That was at the original, that is the schedule that was in the original citizen participation plan that was adopted by this board. And then there were some delays, primarily with getting the committee established, that it took a while to get the process going. So this is a reflection of what was originally adopted by the board. There was a contract amendment to us extending the date for completion of the plan for those delays that occurred. It was the end of the summer when we had our first committee meeting. Actually, August of 2015 was our first committee meeting. So we still finished within about an 8-month time schedule up to the point of it going to the state for their review and comment. And that takes a while for it to go through the state review process because there are a large number of state agencies that have an opportunity to review and comment on the plan. So once we got started, being August of 2015, I think the county went through the process on the county land use plan about as quickly as you can go through the process. During that period of time, from August up until March of this year, the committee conducted 8 separate work sessions on the document. We can revise that schedule that's attached to this citizen participation plan in Appendix A, but that again was the schedule that was in the original adopted.
And we did revise it, because I remember taking action to give you additional time.
And Charlotte, correct me if I'm wrong, but revising that schedule in Appendix A is certainly not something that's going to require us to go back to the state. It's just a clerical modification to reflect what actually did happen.
I think it should reflect that, because the way it's scheduled, it looks like that you had a public hearing before you even start the issue, the project initiation.
And we'll be happy to do that.
Just one last observation, and I will be done. Under section 7.1, it says, guide for land use decision making. It said it is intended that this document be an integral part of the Gates County decision-making process concerning future land use. This document should be consulted prior to any decision being made by the Gates County staff, planning board, or board of commissioners concerning land use and development. Now, to me, somehow it should have reflected in there that the Gates County ordinances, zoning ordinances, subdivision ordinance reflect compliance with this. You know, when we go to court, we don't say you're violating the Constitution. We've got state laws that comply with the Constitution. And it looks to me like this document is overriding many of our zoning ordinance.
Well, a couple observations. First of all, in the introduction, the plan purpose, it is stated in that section basically what you just said. But in 2005, the state legislature revised its statutes that govern planning in North Carolina to specify that any time a jurisdiction is considering a rezoning action, that you have to act consistent with your land use plan, or you have to explain why you acted inconsistently with the plan. So statutorily, there is a requirement that you base your zoning decisions on the plan. The statutes do not say that the county has to make all zoning decisions consistent with the plan. It says that if you do act inconsistently, then you have to explain why you took that course of action. And I think the intended logic of that was that it would make local units of government think about what they were doing with respect to zoning and how it's going to impact your land use plan. Most communities that do take a zoning action inconsistent with their land use plan, they will then amend the land use plan. And as a part of that, if you do that, it forces you to look at what that impact is going to be on your long-term vision for the county. There is nothing in the state statutes that requires a county or a town to have a land use plan, except for one thing that gets added through the back door, if you will. The state statutes do say that a zoning ordinance must be based on a current comprehensive plan. There are a lot of towns and counties in this state that don't have plans or don't have current plans. So I think technically those folks are in violation of the state statute. This gives you, adoption of this plan gives you a current legal foundation for your zoning. And I did not mention this in my earlier remarks, but there are a lot of suggestions in the implementing actions here for changes to your current zoning ordinance that would give you more flexibility in some cases to be able to implement some of the recommendations contained in this plan. And we had a lot of conversation with the committee about, in the future, undertaking that revision to your current ordinance. Does that help?
Yeah, well, thank you, and, that addresses it, but, for base value, we're operating under zoning ordinances that should be in compliance with this, and basically what you've explained, relates that.
Yes.
And that's the way it's been, because I was on the planning board, and every time we have that form filled out for variance or special use or whatever, there is a question, does it follow the county land plan? If not, why not? Why not for diverting from that? So that has not changed. That was in our old plan, and that's just the way it was. To make us think, we go back and look.
As I said, it's been like that since 2005 in North Carolina.
So I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
So February 2017 would be the next step, and that would be approval and come back to us for adoption.
No, sir, you have to adopt it before it goes to.
Okay, so we don't wait until, so we adopt it and then it's approved by the state.
Yeah,
The next step.
it will not go forward to the state until you have adopted the plan. That's the next step, is for this board to adopt the plan or amend the plan and then adopt it. The next meeting of the Coastal Resources Commission at which it could be considered will be the February meeting. That meeting will be in Atlantic Beach. I think the date for that meeting may be the 16th, but we will certainly confirm that. It is not mandatory that the county have a representative at that meeting. Historically, when we've gotten to this point, certification of a plan by the commission is a routine matter, and the Coastal Management Program is trying to shift final certification of the plan from a commission approval to an administrative approval. And the current planning guidelines, 7B, state that, but after the guidelines were adopted, as I understand it, it came to light that the original act mandates that the Coastal Resources Commission approve the certification of the plan. So the original act has got to be amended before they can fully transition to an administrative approval. Is that a fair explanation, Sean?
And then the revision of it, how far down the road?
That you would
10
update?
years, yeah. We won't get full
It
revision.
usually in the past, and most people recommend and look at all plans, whether they be CAMA plans or not, that you look at updating a plan every 6-7 years because of changing conditions. In years past, when the Resources Commission or the Coastal Management Program had money to help people amend plans, they routinely did take place about every 5 years. But the state has no funding available to help everybody pay for updates. So the plans that are in effect now, or at least for the foreseeable future, are going to remain in effect unless the local unit of government pays for the update of the plans, which is exactly what has happened here with Gates County. Last year, there was only, I think there was only $75,000 in funding available, and it went to 5 separate jurisdictions in amounts of $15,000 to 4 of those grants, I believe, went to update plans. But even at that, $15,000 is not enough money to update a land use plan and go through the CAMA process. So the Charlene can certainly answer the question better than I can about the funding availability that there might be there this year, but it's still going to be very limited whatever amount is available and whatever the state chooses to do with it.
I recall, as I looked through that, somewhere in here, I didn't print a copy of it, like I said, it was 157 pages. But there's a requirement to update it every 6 to 7 years.
Yeah, we read,
And then, what I read, it sounded like says that it shall, it wasn't a recommendation, it was almost like it was statutorily required that it be reviewed and implemented and updated every 6 to 7 years or something like that. I don't have it, so I can't say that, that's totally true, but I believe that's what I recall.
there is a statement to that effect back in the implementing act, yes, sir. I think the most compelling thing about when you update it is the basis of your zoning ordinance, which the state statutes say must be a current, based on the current comprehensive plan. There's no specific date in that statute, so it becomes somewhat judgmental, is how often do you have to update it to be current? I think the answer to that question is driven by how much of conditions in your jurisdiction change. If somebody appeared on Gates County doorstep and wanted to build an industry that was gonna employ 3,000 people, that would be a world-changing situation for Gates County, which clearly would beg the question of what do we do about updating the plan?
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other citizens' comments about the comprehensive plan?
Madam Chairman, I'd like to ask one question too. We listed the assets, agriculture and forestry, as you went down. In parallel functions, how close are they to one another economically? I did not find anything.
I don't think there's a great difference. The agricultural production to the economy is probably a little greater than the forestry production, but they are clearly the foundational elements of the economy of Gates County.
Thank you.
Linda, is this a public hearing?
This is a public hearing.
So I guess if I say anything, I need to stand up.
That's correct. They don't destroy the furniture.
Send me a bill. No, I thought I'd say that I came in here for several reasons, but I actually have a title, Jack. I was the vice chairman of the camera committee, and I wanted to ensure, all of you commissioners, and some of you I kind of vaguely talked to, but it was a good situation because those of you, I guess Tom Morgan was the chairman, and those of you that know Tom, let me get my words straight here, macro and micro. Well, Tom is a micromanager, if you know him. He looks at every word in there, whether the I's been dotted and whether there was a type in there. And I'm a macro guy. I don't like the details. I look at the big stuff. So Tom and I would discuss this, and from his standpoint, my standpoint, I said, Tom, thank you for finding it. But this gentleman back here was probably the easiest man I've ever seen to work with. And this whole plan, like he told you, there wasn't his plan. We on the committee that came, and all of us came but one. There was one guy that came one time, he never came back. The rest of us were left. Whatever we said we wanted, he came back. If we had a question, he always had an answer. So I want to congratulate, I mean, you know me, I'm not going to stand up here and tell a bunch of stuff on somebody unless I think it's true. But he has done a great job, and I think you need to know that when you get ready to vote. And the committee went through this stuff, and with Tom checking the dots of the I's and the T's, and which highway was numbered incorrectly, and I looked at the big plan. Just wanted to say, anytime y'all want to vote on it, I think it's fine to vote on, in my opinion. Thank you.
Okay, any other citizen comments? Hearing no one moving toward the podium, or any comments from the board, I will entertain a motion to come out of a public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and properly second. All those in favor of coming out of public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
If that was unanimous, we don't have to have nays. Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve the Gates County Comprehensive Plan.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Gates County Comprehensive Land Use Plan with the noted modification of the schedule dates, reflect the correct dates.
Okay, a motion been made and properly seconded. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we're going to vote on to approve the Gates County Comprehensive Plan with the modifications to the schedule that has been noted in the appendix of the document. All those in favor of the plan say aye. Aye. All those opposed? It's approved. So we'll move on to the next step. So thank you, Mr. Holland, and your company for working with us, and thank Mrs. Owens as well, and for your diligence.
Thank you very much. I also want to thank the county staff for all their help through the process. We always got responsive help whenever we had asked for it, and I wish you all a Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Okay, let's take a 5-minute stretch break. These chairs get mighty hard for 5 minutes. We'll come back to the administrative. Okay, we'll start with the administrative reports, and we'll begin with the county manager.
This is for October 20th to November the 28th. During the report period, I personally handled 13, I feel like 13 initial planning calls or meetings related to zoning maps and special use permits. Due to the lack of business, the planning board did not meet in November. The Board of Adjustment met and approved variances for James Sears and the Gates County Board of Education at the high school. On October the 25th, the Control Emergency Group met to debrief following Hurricane Matthew. On October the 31st, Dr. Daniel Dickerson and Dr. Melanie Duffrin with ECU Allied Health met with school representatives and myself regarding a possible grant to develop a comprehensive and integrated approach to whole health, beginning with the school system and building upon programs and partners that are already in place throughout the county. This past week, I wrote a letter of support for the cost for qualification phase 1 submission to the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation entitled Advancing Systemic Changes to Promote Health School Environments. November the 2nd and the 4th, I attended contracting for construction and design services at the School of Government. On October the 28th and November the 14th, meetings were held with various FEMA officials to discuss communication strategies and reimbursements. On November the 15th, Chair Coughlin and I met with Dr. Williams and Ray Felton of the school board to begin discussion of the next steps for the school system. We do have a meeting date that will be on Thursday, December the 8th at 4:30 in the courthouse. Also, I reported to you the initial analysis of the brick testing that has been conducted by WJE. After speaking with Ms. Koffler, we agreed to wait and we can discuss that at the January meeting. By that time, we should also have a response back from Andreas as well as Clearscapes on their thoughts related to that testing. And on a related note from when Mr. Blaney was here, Blaney Baker, there will be a ribbon cutting ceremony for the Gates County Access Point kiosk, which is located in the courthouse on Tuesday, December the 13th at 10 a.m. The public is invited.
One question about the December 8th. Did you give a time for that?
4:30 at the courtroom.
December 8th or 13th?
December the 8th at the courtroom for the Board of Education. December 13th is the kiosk in the courthouse.
Sounds like you were busy.
Regarding planning, notice you have quite a bit of work, 13 calls, meetings, so forth. You know, items related to filings, records, investigations, and all that. Who's handling all that?
We split it between myself and Mike Barber, depending on what's needed.
Where do we stand on
Say 3 applications, no one else has applied.
So when are we planning to start?
Whenever we receive the qualified applicants and enough pool, then we will interview.
What kind of pool are we looking at?
We can discuss that in person, in very close session.
Okay, and, comments, questions for Kane? Okay, we need finance and tax report. This is- And before we get started, okay, we have a charge that we have to give to you.
That is correct. Linked with the collector's report, with those figures incorporated with the collector's report.
And I'll read this. It says, to the collector of County of Gates, State of North Carolina, County of Gates, you are hereby authorized, empowered, and commanded to collect taxes set forth in the tax records filed in the office of the tax assessor and/or collector, and the tax receipts herewith delivered to you in the night and from the taxpayers likewise therein set forth. Such taxes are hereby declared to be a first lien upon all real property of the respective taxpayers in the County of Gates, and this order shall be full and sufficient authority to direct, require, and enable you to levy and sell any real or personal property of such taxpayers for and on account thereof, in accordance with the law of North Carolina General Statutes 105-321B. And this is going to be witnessed by my hand and official seal this day, and the chair of the board and the clerk of the board. Well, this is a formality that we have to do to give you the authority to collect the taxes and to bring forth the liens and all.
Yes, ma'am. For the existing building, that is correct.
Okay, and we'll do that, we'll take care of that after the meeting.
Okay. Are there any items of question on the collector's report? I just want to thank my staff for their hard work marching towards receiving amount collected for November. We're marching towards that. Any specific questions of any sort there?
I got one question. Under the Zacchaeus Legal Services,
Yes, sir.
we collected $4,354.70. Does Zacchaeus collect those and submit them to the county, or does citizens pay directly to the county those fees based on those from Zacchaeus?
They pay us, yes, sir, based on the fees assigned with the particular case, whether it's an advertisement or whether it's a service by publication. So we collect those, so that is the direct link.
So if he doesn't handle any of the money.
That is correct. You know, we take all that internally, it is applied to account. Let's say we have $300 of advertising charges that need to be assigned. We get that email, that correspondence from Zacchaeus, from the law firm. We then in turn apply it accordingly based on the account. And then it's incorporated with that bill, so it does become a part of the collection base. Yes, sir.
He basically just handles the notices and all of the formalities going forward. It doesn't handle any money for him.
That's right, no, we're not those.
Okay, and tax collections, I know tax bills tonight, are they coming in?
Oh, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. And a lot of people have already told us they're not going to pay until that last week of January, as they commonly do for the year, as they've done for the past several years. But yes, ma'am, we're pleased and we took in a good portion of prepayments, I'll mention as well, which it did not interrupt that collection, if you will. We still had the money, it was posted accordingly, so we had almost $137,000 in prepayments, which hit right off the base, if you will. So there was no interruption of any sort. But yes, ma'am, they are coming in and received for November over the $500,000 mark of collections, for that month.
The people who are prepaying, I know this, can't answer this for every one of them. But when they're doing that, they're doing that on their own. They're making a conscious decision to come in. Are they doing that monthly or?
Some of them monthly, and you'll find with, particularly those with fixed income, you know, insurance, they tend to allocate, and they do it every year. My father is just no different when you start paying on his. As is the case, they'll set aside a monthly figure of $50 or $100. Some of them might be every couple of months, they come in to see us, or they'll mail a check in. And they've done that in the history of paying taxes. Particularly those on fixed incomes, there is some more resume for those.
Very prudent on that part. Okay, we do have a pending refund.
That is correct, yes, ma'am. With the amount of $150.76. It is a DMV refund. The gentleman unfortunately passed away, so there's some refund amount due to that. The vehicle was actually sold, it was turned in, receipt for the refund generated by the DMV.
Okay, do I have a motion concerning the refund to taxpayer for, to his estate for $150.76?
Make that motion?
Second.
Motion's been made and properly second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed, so you will take care of that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so
All
much.
right, thank you, and congratulations on the selection of you as vice chairman of the year, yes, ma'am.
Things working out better with Keystone?
Actually, they're about the same, yes, ma'am, there's not much of a change there. We are going to anticipate merging the database back in as we get into the booking of the reappraisal, that will be certainly, we hope, have everything merged back. It's about the same, I'll say, yes, ma'am.
Okay, we'll see Sandy with the budget minutes later on. Personnel reports or anything? I see Ms. Holly is here from DSS. Any comments from you about your part?
I to announce we will begin taking or have already began taking our low-income energy assistance program applications to assist citizens with their heating bills. That began December 1. From December 1 through December 31st of this year. Anyone that is age 60 or have someone age 60 residing in their household will have the opportunity to apply as long as the funds last from January 1 through March the 31st. If we still have funds, other residents are more than welcome to apply. I believe I already sent information to the county office to be put on the county website, and also I sent it to Mr. Cal Bryant to put in the Gates County Index, and I will also send information to various radio stations.
So certainly that would be helpful to many of our citizens.
Yes.
Thank you. That's, the sheriff is left. Mr. Hedgepeth, water and sewer, how are the repairs coming for? I know that we had temporary repairs on water that,
We've got bids in, for doing the directional bore. We're trying to get one more bid in for that. The repairs on the plant, we've got one bid in for that. One refusal to place a bid and trying to get a third bid on that to complete the plant. Repair on the fire basins and upgrades.
okay, and the repairs that the honey pot break, 32, you said you had those,
Those are the ones that we just
discussed.
discussed.
That's
That
what.
was the first one I discussed, yes, ma'am.
You got the next one.
I started this one.
I received a call from a county resident where we had the 12-inch break on 32. We had a 12-inch line break
6-inch main.
on 32. Just before you get to Muddy,
That's 6-inch main.
that's 6 inch.
Yes, sir.
But, we're going to talk about that in closed session.
Okay.
I think.
Is Tim gonna be here?
If he's available, he'll be here.
Okay. Okay, and, Mrs. Hendricks, I know we've done some changes to the rural, how we do water, how's that working out? We've just given it a little bit more time.
Except for the gentleman he had to come in just then, but given the 4 to 5 extra days, it's worked out extremely well. Letting them come in.
Okay.
Huh.
Yes, ma'am, sir.
Water department, we almost got mine. There was a newspaper article in November regarding late fees.
Yes, sir?
I thought it was really interesting that I even took out my water bill, looked at it. You can call an 800 number, and supposedly, I guess you can give them a credit card and you can pay the bill online. Somehow, they called and the line would not respond or whatever. Trying to get a hold of the county and said the phone lines, the county was not working that day. Do you recall the lines not being working on that? I guess
So official payments, no, sir. I went back and checked.
October 25th.
I went back and checked. There was no maintenance. We had other attacks that came in that day. I don't know what her issue is.
No, I guess my point I'm getting to is that, in the policy, we have given the director and county manager some leeway in making adjustments when they feel there's credibility to it. And I didn't look at the policy before I came in, but I think it extends to extenuating circumstances. And we would hope that he would utilize those types of authorities to try to prevent some of these, and the sun is shining, so pardon me, I can see and can't see, but to try to prevent some of those situations that may seem to be unfair, but actually, legitimately, I guess we may be in the right, but we do have some discretion based on what we've approved in the policy.
It's amazing when she called me, she came through to me. If she had called me the day she was having the problem, I have assisted people in making the official payments. When it's dire straits, to keep them from being charged the late fee or the service fee. She didn't do that. I prefer to discuss this with you after I was not in the other meeting, but there.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you much.
Okay, Mr. Hedgeback, one thing, the I&I problem that we've had, and I saw in your report that they had identified it,
Yes, ma'am.
so are we gonna get it fixed?
Yes, I've spoken with Capcom Associates, the original engineers. I've tried to get some plans to figure out what kind of material they actually put in the ground. Because East Carolina Construction has come out and fixed, they did the original tap, come out and have fixed it. And I talked to the owner of that company again, and we're gonna come out again, but we're trying to make sure we have the proper materials to try to tap this corrugated pipe that they put in the ground for the gravitational collection system.
I know that has been an ongoing issue for a long time.
And we thought we had it fixed. We cambered I actually just middle of last week finally got the information and video of it all. And that was the only place from the intersection of Stony and Commerce all the way back to where the collection line comes out to 158 in Honey Pot Bible. And that was Helmut Place, and the water was coming out with force.
Okay, I'm glad we're making progress on that.
Corrugated pipe, is that the right application?
And it's smooth inside and corrugated outside.
At least that's good enough.
According to the plans and everything that were initially, for my research that were initially approved, were supposed to be SDR 21. Evidently, there was a change order submitted somewhere. So there was a large period of time where I wasn't involved with the planning for the wastewater part thing.
Would that have been, if I may, you threw some letters out there, would that have been steel, or would that have been like PVC?
And it's still a PVC polymer. It's almost like the driveway culvert material that they're putting in now. The corrugated outside, smooth inside. Just a different grade.
Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else about reports? Okay, we do have a letter that I've asked Commissioner Owens to read from concerning World War II.
That comes from World War II Coastwise Merchant Mariners. Dear Board of Commissioners and residents of Gates County, North Carolina, dated November 7th, 2016. I write to tell you of our success regarding a 10-year journey in an attempt to have World War II merchant marine women and school children recognized as veterans for their services. About 8 years ago, I reached out to Gates County requesting your support, and you stood up. You have stood up with me throughout the entire effort. That support was there even when attempting to gain support from one of our senators who had been acting on misinformation and opposing this movement. I have reached out to all 100 counties for their support. At one time, that support reached to 57 counties, and then they started to taper off over the years. Not Gates County. You stayed the course. At the end, I had the support of 26 counties from the 1st and 3rd districts. That support provided me the courage to continue the fight. So many individuals across the nation stepped up at first to offer their support, but the vast majority could not stay the course. This is sad that our nation has so little love for our veterans who gave us the very freedom we have today. Our effort began with bills in both sides of Congress, H.R. 1288-S-1775, World War II Merchant Mariners Service Act. This past year, staff from the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee reduced the bills into the wording that was suitable to create a self-standing section that could be placed within any legitimate bill. This opportunity came about recently via the concurrent resolution for the military construction bill. Our wording was included as section 248 of that bill, and it passed both houses with the President signing it, and it is now law. PL 114-223, section 248. I trust this information will be shared with the county residents as they were there offering their support as well. Without the strong support of Gates County and a few others, I feel this may not have been possible. It is truly difficult to fly in the face of opposition continuously for a subject that should be supported by all. Our nation's veteran is called upon time and again, and always they stand up. This should be the case for all. Not so, for sure, but there is one thing I am sure of, and that is Gates County can be counted on to support our veterans. It was clearly shown with our steadfast support for me in my endeavors. I will always be grateful for that, and I say thank you, thank you, thank you. My best regards, J. Don Horton. J. Don Horton, President.
Okay, and very appropriate because Wednesday is the 75th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor. That we should remember all those veterans, irregardless of what branch or what their service was. Okay, going back on our agenda, we do have the email from the North Carolina Board of Commissioners, County Board of Commissioners, to the request made that the local board designate a commissioner or other official to be a voting delegate to the 2017 Legislative Goals Conference that will be held January 12th, 13th in Raleigh. Okay, and the deadline is January 6th to get the form in, so we will probably need to take care of it at this meeting.
Okay, if the county manager is available, I would like to nominate the county manager to attend that on behalf of the board and carry out those responsibilities.
I don't have my 2017 calendar, but that is travel, that's not budgeted. I will go ahead and let you, make you aware of that, but before then, you would need to give me goals and information to take to that meeting if I am able to attend.
Well, we can get the information. Like I said, we don't have it, all we've been given is the fact that we need to have a representative there, and that it's gonna happen, we need to be provided with the information to look over to give you some guidance on what the.
And that's the only information that Melissa and I have received, the same information you have.
Well, we do meet again on January 4th, and we have to have it in by January 6th. So we do have time to designate someone at our January meeting.
You know, we still need, would you follow up, county manager, on what?
We all get it at the same time, sir. They'll send something out probably again this week. They typically at this time of year, they send something every week related to this.
Okay, so we will put it on the table and until the first meeting in January. That way everybody can see the schedules, and if the county manager can go, she can go. If not, maybe one of us can go. Okay?
Madam Chairman, it would be helpful if we had a copy of what our suggestions or recommendations were from last year. If we submitted some, just have to give us sort of maybe some framework for that, if that's available. Get that email to us.
Okay. We will, if the clerk could look and see if we sent a list in.
If no one attended last year, they made the same request.
It probably doesn't exist.
We could have sent something in writing.
If we did, you get that to us so we have.
And if even if no one can go, we can still send in our request. Okay, just for articles of interest, the county holidays are in there for 2017. I believe Saturday is the Christmas parade. Traditionally, the county commissioners ride in the parade, and that is at 3 o'clock on Saturday. So hopefully some of us can attend. Okay, moving right along. There is no old business.
I do have
Excuse me.
comments on the county calendar.
Okay.
County manager, I take it that we made a schedule up that,
Excuse me, are you talking about for which calendar?
The holiday schedule, or?
No, he's looking at the one that's gonna be voted on later.
Okay, I was just talking about the 10 holidays.
That's outlined in our personnel ordinance. Up under the administrative.
okay, we have a resolution on this one, okay. We have a resolution on this one, okay.
That'll be in the new business.
Okay, all right.
Okay, well, getting ready to go to new business. The first item of business is about the 911 backup system sales agreement. Are you prepared to talk to us?
I think, good morning.
Good morning.
I think Melissa included in y'all's packet the sales agreement. She also put in there a letter of why and sole source. So it can't go out for bid. I also have an email from Bruce Williams explaining that it's eligible for sole source requirement because of where their maintenance contract with wireless communications, so nothing else can go on their system from anybody else. That is the first step in the, part of the backup plan is to get the phone system into place. We're also working with the state IT to get, it's going to be geodiverse. It's going to be connected between both sites. So anything that this 911 center can do, the backup center can do.
The backup center is at the prison camp.
The backup center will be at the EOC, yes, ma'am. So,
And the state is requiring everyone to have a backup center.
yes, the implementation is required to have it up and running by July 1st, 2017. So that's giving you around that 7 months to get everything ordered and in place. So this is one of the biggest parts right here is getting this along with the wireless, the fiber optics between the two buildings.
Okay, so you would like our approval of the self-contract?
Yes, talking with Sandy and our procurement policy, it has to go in front of the board to be approved. So I just need y'all's blessing.
And we all understand it's state required that we have a backup. I've been reading about all counties and they're working together. Go ahead, comment.
And you recommend this system at $103,155.28.
Yes, sir.
That's the best deal you can possibly get for it.
That's the only deal. Nobody else can go on the system.
If you feel that it's comparable, the price is comparable to what
Yes,
this is.
We put this system out for bid when we did our upgrade with CenturyLink and wireless, and they were the only two that bid on it. And this was a very good system.
Got money to vote?
Yes, sir. It's now in one part. Yes, sir.
I will entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the self-contract for the wireless communication with wireless communication for 911 backup. The motion's been made and properly seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay.
Thank you
So
very
you
much.
can get started and
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
everything. Okay, Ms. Pittman. Good morning. Good afternoon. Oh my, the dark side. I got something to do.
I know one of those amendments came in last, did y'all have number 21 as well? Go right through all of them.
That was the one that was sent electronically, I do not know if Melissa laid a copy at your desk this morning.
I can share my copy, I'll talk you through.
I remember, I read it online.
It's the one dealing with the alcohol enforcement, the additional funding. Okay, so number 15 is an amendment to carry forward the remaining EMPG funds. We receive funds every year at the end of the year for this grant, and every year we end up carrying that money forward because Bill and Wynn does not have time to spend it before the end of the year. So this is an annual amendment that we do every year. This year it's about $3,600. Number 16 is to budget for the benefits that are required for the retired sheriff. We obviously didn't know at budget time that he was going to be retiring. So we reallocated within that department to cover these. Hopefully by the end of the year, everything will work out. If not, we have to, or you all have to go and look at that budget and clean it up. So, but at this time, it looks like the funds will be available to cover these additional expenses without backfilling anything in that budget.
And his separation is, that's a one-time deal, right?
No, ma'am, that's that monthly amount that we discussed it. Didn't we discuss it last month, at last month's meeting?
Separation?
Yes, that's a yearly
Who did?
amount.
That's correct. Yeah, and it's paid out monthly with our payroll until whatever the requirements are.
Age 62.
62 or or if he becomes reemployed with another local government. And the hospitalization, he qualified to have his hospitalization paid for upon retirement.
Okay.
Number 17, included in the county manager's contract is a vision insurance benefit that we did not budget for. It's just over $7 a month, so it's a minimal amount, but because it involved benefits, it had to come to the board. Number 18 is strictly reallocation in the Genesis grant. All of the personnel, the salary and benefits were budgeted under the personnel line, and this just breaks it out. There's no additional money, it's simply a reallocation that again has to come before you because it involves salary and benefits. Number 19 is kind of a cleanup amendment. When we first started the project for the historic courthouse, there was an expectation that we would receive some monetary donations for the project, so we budgeted those funds. We have not received any money to date. Natalie and I discussed this, and what we've decided to do is decrease the budget by that amount to ensure that we don't overspend accidentally going through the project. And if donations are received down the line, you all can do an amendment to add those back into the project. But as of now, we have not received any donations, and we were concerned about the fact that that money was sitting there in the expenditure line, and it may have been expended accidentally. So we talked about encumbering those funds, but if you do that, that's an annual process that in fear that somewhere down the line that wouldn't carry forward. We thought the best way to do this would be to reduce the budget for now, and if we do receive donations, you can always go back in and increase that budget accordingly and spend those money once they get received.
If I recall correctly, and I'm sure you can correct me on this, is that when the historic courthouse committee was meeting, one of the intents of that budget was to be a reminder of the committee to solicit for donations and to make efforts to get interest of the citizens in the county to come forward and donate towards that project. We have not made those efforts. In other words, it's been there, it's been there, but we haven't gone out and tried to solicit for donations. And I'm a little bit concerned if we take it out, that that's you're gonna forget about the fact that that project was approved based on the fact that we were intending to get $4 million in donations. And so I think it's something that's kind of fell through the cracks on the county's part, that we have not actively solicited to bring in those donations. So I'm kind of a little bit of a twitch right now as to whether or not, if you take it out, it's going to go away, and the county's going to end up spending all tax dollars to restore the courthouse when we were originally intending to have donations to help that out.
Well, I wasn't on the Board of Commissioners then. I was on the advisory committee at that time. And we had, we had thought about sending out letters and to solicit donations. But then, I believe it was County Manager Mendenhall kind of went ahead and started renovation of the courthouse. And the advisory committee, we were meeting to try to find uses for the building and identify funds and solicitations, and then he started the renovations. He found some money and started the renovations, and the advisory committee just kind of shut down. Certainly I think in going forward, if we can determine our plan of action on the courthouse, I think we can get some donations. But as I have looked at these budgets for several years now, I thought that $250,000 was there.
Well, and that's the turnover. I was concerned that somebody coming in may not realize that, and as you look at that budget, it looks like there's still an additional $250,000 available. If that money is spent and no donations are received, then you're going to have to go back and spend county money. This was really to clean it up and do it that way. This is totally up to you all. I mean, the money's in the budget. This was really just for safekeeping to try to avoid that error in the transition, because, you know, transitions can sometimes be tricky.
And I mean, I think we will, I think we probably can still, I mean, a group can try to, I mean, look at letters and make, solicit funds, but I don't think we need to solicit funds until we have a really plan of what we're going to do.
Should auditors have questioned this one?
No, there's nothing to question here because we've not spent this money. The money is included in the expenditure line item. Right now, the revenues and expenditures are fine. If you were to spend this and you didn't have the donations, then yeah, at the end of the year, they would come in and you'd have a finding for that. And that's what we're trying to avoid.
But that
again,
line item still exists, right? The
the line item would be there, and you could go back in at any time and add money when you received it. The concern is that it's there if you were to encumber the funds at the end of the year, all those encumbrances go away. And if somebody did not go back in and re-enter that encumbrance for whatever reason, and you spend that money without the donations, it just is a chance that, it's entirely up to you all. It was a thought, it was something Natalie and I discussed, and, you know, the option is yours. You all can handle it however you wish to handle it.
So by having it as a revenue, you're saying from an auditor standpoint that those funds are basically there, even though they're not received. I guess that's the same thing like with grants. You know, we said we're going to have a $500,000 grant. We haven't got it yet, but it's potentially on the way.
The difference is we don't budget the grants until there's an agreement that says that money is coming. Then you can spend that money and you get the reimbursement. If you spend this money, there's no guarantee those donations will come in at this point. That would be the concern. And again, the auditors don't know whether or not those donations are being guaranteed. So if you get to the end of the year, you've spent this money and you didn't receive donations, then your fund is out of balance and it's out of whack, and that's when you find a finding. And obviously, we'll have to go back and find money to cover those funds that you weren't anticipating spending.
Well, you know, I'll go along with what the board wants, but it was the intent to have donations as part of the restoration process. And this kind of seems to me that if you take this out, you're going to put it totally on the county. Whereas with it left in there, it's a reminder. And if we don't do it, then it's going to be on the county. So either way,
you can't spend it until you get it. It's really entirely on the county.
I won't say that we won't make a
It's up to you.
solicitation. That's not my point. That I said we, you know, but it was so, at the point that they started working on it, you know, the advisory committee was kind of shut down.
Strange, yeah.
It shut down. Certainly, I think we can solicit, and we certainly that has always been in the back of our minds that we will hold solicitations, but until we know the direction and the cost and whatever.
So the
Keep the line item.
The best safeguard is to keep the line item.
And just have it zero at this time.
Right, that's my recommendation, is to zero this out, so that you don't spend money that nobody is guaranteed to reimburse.
And if,
well, is the line item still there?
The line item will be there, there'll just be $0 in it.
just have the line item, $0, and then if we get the latest from in January, after we discussed about the courthouse, and we find out, you know, we can gear up and come up with a solicitation or try to find monies.
I think we probably need to go ahead and do a write-up on the courthouse project, what the intent is, and put it out there for solicitation for donations. And, you know, many of the citizens of the county, especially those who have special funds and interest in the courthouse, you'd be surprised what they be coming in. And even maybe able to point us in some directions on how to receive some funds for that. So I think that needs to go forward.
And my recommendation is that you move forward with this amendment, and then as you receive guarantees or commitments for funds, then you go back in and you add money to the budget based on money that you know you're going to get. Because this is money we don't know if we're gonna get, and if we spend it, taxpayers will have to come back and backfill that budget and pay it. And it'll just be money that will throw the budget out of whack.
And as if and when those funds come in, they will go straight to the line.
Exactly. And like I said, you do another budget amendment and you just add it back to the budget. That's correct.
This fly is, really.
That's a lie.
Hope you get it.
I don't know what it says about us, but flies are everywhere.
Okay, amendment number 20 is to budget the funds that the sheriff's department has received for escorting the parts to the windmills. I think Randy is left. I think most of this money has already been received. I think there may be a little bit left outstanding, but he's asked that that additional money be put back to his departmental supplies line item to help him make some purchases and do some things that he needs to do.
Sam, how did you come up with that figure?
It was so much per
So much per trip.
escort vehicle.
He had the formula.
In fact, well, that's my back of the envelope math.
I bet you made a little money on that, didn't you?
We did, I don't know if we actually made money on that, but it offsets some of the cost of our guys being out there anyway, so. And the last amendment, number 21, that I don't know if you have a copy of, Sheriff Hathaway has met with the ABC board, who has informed him they will be increasing the monthly amount that they send us. So this amendment is to budget for those additional funds. It's an extra $1,050 this fiscal year that he expects to receive, and he has a line item that directly offsets that in his budget for alcohol enforcement. So it's the revenue line and then the alcohol enforcement expenditure line to offset it.
So it's ABC.
Now it's very straightforward. There's no additional county money. It's money that's coming from the ABC board.
And that rings true for each county that does not have an ABC law enforcement. Right.
Okay, certainly have a list of them. I think we probably need to take each one separately. We'll go back to the emergency management fund,
Give us a number.
number 15. Fund balance appropriation, $3,600 into department supplies.
Madam Chairman, I move that we accept that amendment.
Second that motion, Madam.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, budget revision number 16 involves the, covers the retirement of our former sheriff for the remainder of this year and his separation allowance.
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve that, 16.
Second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, budget number 17, a vision plan for our county manager as part of her employment contract. We do want her to be able to see.
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve that $90. Number 17.
Yes.
Second that motion.
Okay, motion's been made and properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Your turn, Ray.
Budget amendment number 18 involves the breakout of benefits from salary for Genesis grant.
Make that motion, Madam Chairman.
Motion's been made. Second. Motion's been made and properly second. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Okay. Amendment 19 is to remove the fund, well, there's no fund actually in it, but remove the number from, but keep the line item.
Right, the line item will remain just be 0 times budget.
But it's 0 funds budgeted for the old courthouse restoration project.
Make that motion, Madam Chairman. Second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. then 21, 20, excuse me, I'm trying to get ahead, I guess. This is the budget funds received for being the windmill escorts by our sheriff's department and putting it from miscellaneous to departmental supplies.
Chairman, I'll second that. $44,200.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, and the 21st amendment is the additional funds for the ABC, or we are receiving additional funds from the ABC, $1,050 to be allocated to the sheriff's office.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll move right along. EMS board appointments. We have to, we have that in the packet, to reappoint Tom Morgan and Doug Lilly to the board of directors of the Gates County Rescue and EMS. Chair says,
I know, as long as they turn in their application.
Yes.
As long as they have them reappointed.
20 minutes? 20 minutes?
We have that material, Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion.
okay?
Second.
Sorry, Bill, go ahead.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to reappoint Tom Morgan and Doug Lilly to the Gates County Rescue and EMS board. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? And they are reappointed. Okay. We are moving on to the resolution setting meetings for the Gates County Board of Commissioners for the 2017 year. If you look at the dates, Mr. George, I believe you said you had.
Yes, on Tuesday, January 17th, I take it that that was moved because of the holiday.
Correct, the first is Martin Luther King.
All right. I would prefer to see that done on Wednesday or Thursday, as it does conflict with one of my church activities, Bible study.
17th.
Yeah, 17th.
Is there any problem with moving it to the Wednesday night?
Not for me.
Commissioner Felton, Commissioner, any problem with it Wednesday night?
And that would be 18th.
Okay, so we can do that Wednesday. Looking over it, what struck me is budget time again. It seems like we just got over it. But anyway. Okay, so this is a resolution. Do I have a,
Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion to adopt the 2017 meeting schedule for the Board of County Commissioners as presented with a modification of January 17th to the 18th.
okay, a motion's been made to approve the resolution for our scheduled meetings. Do I hear a second?
Second motion, Madam Chairman.
Motion's been made and properly second. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed. Also, in that, we also have a null resolution for the meeting of the Personnel Board. And you see the schedule there. We meet prior to our regular scheduled board meeting. Entertain a motion.
I move to adopt the schedule as presented.
I'll second that motion, Madam Chairman.
Motion's been made and properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed. Okay, so, okay, number 6, the election budget request. And I believe we have that in, here. That was given to us. Here. I thought I saw it. Okay, good morning, or good afternoon, whatever it is. We received your budget request. This is for your poll workers and rent and for departmental supplies. Does this include, money for, are you recounting votes today? What?
No.
Okay, you don't have
As
to.
of Saturday, they have not received the request yet, but it's always prepared, so. Prepared budget-wise.
Okay. So and of course, wait for the courts to rule if we have to recount or not, or what for?
Well, we're waiting on the candidate to turn in the proper documentation to the state. They met Saturday.
Okay.
So let's stop asking, just wait.
It seems like this is 'tis the season of recounts.
Madam Chairman, I would make a motion that we approve the requested funds to carry out the election duties that's been presented.
Now, is this the request that's on the very last page?
Her order, that's not, no, that one.
65.
65, and I summarized it on the front page.
Okay, 9,000. For total, between the two.
It was 65 for the poll workers and 2,500 for departmental, for the grand total of 9,000.
And this a budget request for the purchase of departmental supplies.
And as I look at this, Madam Chairman, too, is there any upgrading for security in this? I do not see that in here, but is that still on the table?
That's not included in this. These are outstanding bills that she needs to correct the budget for it so they can be paid.
You have a motion for.
Okay, a motion's been made to approve the budget amendments. Do I have a second?
Second motion, Madam Chairman.
Okay, any discussion? I do have, I was looking over it and I had highlighted this on one thing I've seen. The purchase orders were for the software and newspaper advertisements were not signed by a finance officer.
The software was our electronic poll book. I did get that back. And honestly, the purchase orders for everything else, I just got that last week. So, I don't know, they haven't given me the copy, but I have not seen your copy, but the purchase order was turned in for the exact amount, for the newspaper ad.
They were not approved
They were
because
not
the funds were
approved.
not available, so they could not be signed and returned.
Okay, so the way we work, you send in a purchase order to get things,
For Eston.
yeah. And then you get the approval and then you go ahead and put in the order. So, I mean, that's the way we kind of do things.
So understood, when it comes to newspaper ads, it's a time-sensitive matter where we have to have it ran within, for the state laws by 3 weeks. So I turned the purchase order in the week before, and I can't hold up not posting the ad, because that would put the, not doing what it's supposed to.
Okay, but we kind of know that when an certified index that we had to have it in, early and
So now you suggesting that I should do a purchase order for over the amount? Because at the time, I actually gave a purchase order for the exact amount that was quoted to me by index.
The amount was fine, it was the fact that there wasn't enough money in the budget needed to be fixed before we could approve the purchase order, that was the issue.
When I fixed the newspaper, it was like over, I think I budgeted, it was over $13.
it doesn't exactly matter how much, it's over. But anyway, if everybody learns from this, then we can move forward, but we need to make sure, because we kind of know when the elections are going to be held and when the due dates are, so a variety of things. And so we have to kind of plan accordingly, so that we don't get into these situations. Okay, that's my comment. Any other comments? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the budget request for the Board of Elections, the total amount of $9,000, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
I need to know where the money's gonna come from. She's gonna have to put it onto a form. Will this be pulling from fund balance, or how are we gonna pay this $9,000?
Okay, so we need to have a motion to pay for this. We need to appropriate pooled money from the fund balance.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Do we need all of the 9,000? Oh yeah, all of the 9,000. To pull $9,000 from the fund balance to pay for the Board of Elections expenses. Okay, motion's been made and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed. Okay, holiday lunch.
This year, there will be a county luncheon for all employees. The date will be December the 13th. Commissioners are invited. My thoughts were that if you came to the kiosk ribbon cutting, then you could participate in our luncheon. I'm requesting that the commissioners purchase meat as they have done in the past. And Wood last year, we had allocated it to $100.
What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we follow recommendation of the county manager on that.
Okay, motion's been made and follow the recommendation of providing meat for the holiday lunch.
Second that motion, Madam Chairman. Are we gonna pass a hat on that, or?
Then we have some miscellaneous funds. We have some miscellaneous funds
They come out of that miscellaneous line item.
for the commissioners. Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, okay. Like you, it's nice, how's it going? Okay, flex time request for Billy Wynn. This is on the table in front of you. He had been to the Western North Carolina to work with the fire site there. And he has accumulated more hours for flex time that he would have used by the end of December. Well, this is first of December. That he is requesting, or the county manager is requesting, that we give him some flexibility in taking his flex time, and so that he would have to use it up before March 31st.
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made and properly second. Any discussion?
No discussion, but as we look at this and just for comment purposes, there's no way that he could take that time with all the vacation and this time of year.
Yeah, we have a lot. And of course, this is an act of God with the western fires, and certainly that has been devastating to the western part of our state and the eastern part of Tennessee. We need assistance sometimes. They need assistance at this time. Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, I believe that is, we're down to citizens' comments. Mr. Ranger, I saw where you had signed up twice.
I'm gonna say that again. You know, this young lady here made me feel a little bit better. When she got up a while ago, she was talking about being stiff, and she's so much younger than me, and made me feel like maybe it's normal.
Check her birth certificate.
Well, I did want to, you know, it's nice to congratulate her for winning.
Thank you.
And Henry and Linda, you know, one of the things that, just share this comment, things that have changed because all of y'all are a lot younger than me. But it used to be years ago when you ran for politics, especially in small counties like Gates County, they had this word, like say Bill Cook would come down and it was the courthouse crowd. So what happened was, you know, you got the courthouse people, that they went out and told everybody how to vote. Because we didn't have the internet, we didn't have Fox News, we didn't even have any news, much. And so, but today all of that has changed. And the good thing, or the bad thing, and the good thing is these people like Kathy and Melrose run for office. But we need to judge them not on any kind of party affiliation or what color their hair is, but the job they do. And we've been lucky to have Kathy and Melrose, and I don't know how long much Melrose is going to run, but she's been there since she was 15 years old. And it's nice to have somebody, number one, to go in that's willing to help you, glad to help you, and knows what to do. The same thing as the Register of Deeds office. So much for that. I have a question, Linda, Madam Chairman. Somewhere here, this just came up. Commissioner Henry pointed out, was discussing about the water leak, pipe burst. And you said you were going to discuss this in closed session?
That's what was my understanding.
So under what, this is not a contract.
No, but it's potential legal
What is the legal part of it?
because of the discussion I had with the individual. We're looking at legal options to check into various options.
Okay, we know the individual then, okay. Anyway, I think we're gonna do it, but, you know, well, in this particular case, I think this, so many people, and I hate, you know, we'll take up this time, y'all getting paid, I'm not, but, so many people hate to come in to a commissioner meeting. I remember a couple, and this, I don't think, maybe Jack was there, and he don't even remember, because it was kind of insignificant, but I know Linda wasn't there, and Billy. They wanted to discuss their tax equalization, and they didn't want to do it in a public meeting. And I can't remember who was leading this thing and said, but you've got to do it in a public meeting. You know, this is not a personnel matter. But I guess, you know, I always am guarded against that because y'all in closed session, another closed session, I won't get into that, but I got some information. Linda, you in the courthouse, I just jot these notes that I just throw out here. The donation, private donation. One of the problems we've had in Gates County for years is the fact that we haven't had, first of all, the people that we consider wealthy in Gates County, based on a national scale of wealth, are not that wealthy. I was lucky enough to have a cousin that I could claim who gave $40 million about 4 years ago to Wake Forest University. The largest private donation that had ever been given to Wake Forest. Also, he gave money to Queens College and, can't remember the other one, in Charlotte, less amounts than that. You know, but we haven't had anybody, I don't have another cousin to step up to the plate. I guess one of the things I'll throw in real quick is part of that is having the fund drive. But we need to you need to, or your group, whoever, reach out to people out that have family that grew up here and maybe have gone off somewhere who would say, hey, you know, I got an extra $10,000. I don't know whether we'd be lucky enough to get a million. But that's, some of the people have left. And these are the people that a lot of them have gone on. My particular cousin graduated from Wake Forest, went to Wake Forest Law School. He's about 90 something now. And so he went to Mecklenburg County as a young lawyer when it was young, and started investing in real estate, and everything was booming. So much for that, but I was just thinking about it as reaching out.
And to certainly, we have thought about that.
And then also mention the fact that I think that Commissioner Henry brought up, and this is important too, and I'm glad you brought it up. You need to get out to the public and outside, all of these people we're talking about, what is the plan? What is the intention? I think that's what I wrote down, Henry, you asked. And this is what the people need to know. And, I might even give a couple of dollars. I don't know. I came out on top this year. And for legal fees, I usually give, and I don't like to say this because I like to brag, but on government elections, I usually donate somewhere in the neighborhood of $10,000 to various candidates. This year I didn't, but I kept my money, but most of it, not all of it. But anyway, there are people in the county that could give, sizable donations if we got, it's always would be useful. But there are one other thing that we do have Ms. Lane here, that y'all all know this because we were at the meeting that she presented. I think must have asked you, I know he knows this because I personally told him, but I think the decrease in our property values is land only, basically. Houses are staying pretty much the same. Of course, our personal property stay the same. So that 8 or 10% is not going to be 8 or 10% in the end. I calculated it may be 3%.
Yeah, 3 to 5, that's right.
Okay, so I did pretty good with me, Jack. But anyway, I tried to get that through to Mr. Askew. I don't know exactly where he come up with it. One other question. This is where, if y'all don't know this, you need to know this. Here's a computer lady here. What is the cap now on property tax? As far as how much we can charge? $1.50. That hadn't changed. It's been that way a long time. Because people have been telling me it was $1.20, various things, and I knew it used to be $1.50. That brings me up to my next point. I want to apologize to all of you, especially these two gentlemen down here, about, they both commented on me and gave me a good recommendation and said that I was usually right. Well, I was wrong. And I want to say that I was wrong, but that had to do with the retirement age of the judges. We had, I thought, one of the best Chief Justices I've ever laid Junior. And I knew he had to retire, and I thought he had to retire at 65. And so I called my sources in Raleigh to verify whether I was right or wrong, Ray, and I was wrong. But the Supreme Court Justice retired at 72. So that makes a lot more sense, but it is a mandatory retirement age. But when I brought up about putting mandatory retirement ages for everybody else, they said we can't do that because it's age discrimination. I said, well, what is the difference between, anyway, you won't do that. But anyway, it is 72. I apologize, and I think now I'm right. Y'all, I don't know if Natalie gets any of y'all. Has anything come your way about redoing the legislation again this session on redistribution of sales tax? Anything come from the County Commissioner Association? Or?
It hasn't come through any of our.
Anyway, I'm assuming, I don't know that, actually, I'll tell you exactly where this comes from. It comes from Senator Cook and his staff. Most people in the state, in the Senate, know that this needs to be done. But when you represent Mecklenburg County, or Wake County, or Guilford County, you're not going to vote for that. Well, even Senator Cook's got a problem because this time we're lucky. We're not lucky, we're good. Hayes County voted for him. The Quinlan's voted for Camden, the 3 counties that would get money. But people are there. So he has to face these things, and he realizes. But it is going to be brought back up, and we probably need to think about it, anything we can do about it. So much for that before y'all go to sleep. But I was gonna finish my school story. And I'm glad I did what I did, because I didn't know it was gonna take all day. And I got a lady waiting to take me to buy lunch, and I'm hungry. But, the key here, I think, going back to what I told you to me before, trust. At some point in time, and hopefully sooner than later, somebody has got to take the lead. You know, the children of Israel were still in Egypt today if somebody didn't come along and say, we need to get out of this place. And they all marched up and got at it. And it took a leader to do it. It always takes a leader. Jewish commissioners, if you can keep throwing it back to the Board of Education and the Board of Education throw it back to you. The point is we do know we got some school problems that need to be addressed. And also the fact that, did anybody know the Flagstaff Park, when this building was built?
It's in the 30s.
35 and 37. It was done. Has anybody said anything about tearing this building down? You know? I mean, so I think most of us are in agreement on this, but the bottom line is we may have to raise taxes. And I will not oppose my tax bill going up if we need it to keep our infrastructure up. Do y'all agree with that? If we have to do it, we got to do it. Now, y'all won't take the heat, but I think the majority of the people would be behind it if they see something going on that's positive. And so, at some point in time, between you and the Board of Education, you're going to have somebody take the lead on this. God bless you. Nice to be able to be here. And good luck to me tonight that I don't get hurt.
Thank you, Mr. Ranger. Okay, commissioners' comments, we'll start now with Mr. Reed.
Good day. Certainly, again, we appreciate everyone being here, but the input that you bring to us both day in and day out is certainly at our meeting. My colleagues, I'm sure, feel as I do, and we do discuss this, not in your presence, but it does come forward to us, we do listen to it, and our decisions are based on it. So we thank you for that.
I appreciate your attendance, and Earl brought out something that we had discussed and get a little bit more of. We're talking about the historic courthouse over there, Fulton. Well, I'm sitting, I can see it right there. But we have a very active historical society in Gates County, and I would like to encourage every one of you to come to the meeting and just see what is discussed and what we plan to do on different things. And a couple of years ago, our chairman taught 2 separate classes on the history of Gates County. Very informative, very well attended. We have, in the last few meetings, we have had an average attendance, well, I won't say average, we've had an attendance of 40 to 70 people. And it's a very good thing to participate in. If you're interested in your county, to know where you're going, you need to know where you've been. And I think it would benefit all of you to go and bring a friend.
I too thank everyone for coming and being a part of our meeting. It is about the county, it's nothing business of the county. Thank everyone for coming to participate, especially those from the SBA, Trillium, whatever. And we just ask that the citizens just be mindful of what we're doing and try to take advantage of what the county has to offer and the discussions that we make, be aware of them so that you'll know how to vote when the time comes to put those in office who's going to serve us. And I thank you for your confidence in voting for me again to serve a 3rd term. And hopefully I'll do those things you put me in office to do. Have a great holiday.
Well, I'll say congratulations to the ones who are here. Ms. Hoffman, Ms. Jordan, Ms. Thornton. Thank everyone for being here. Thank you for your participation and your comments. Have a Merry Christmas.
Yes, thank you everybody for coming. thank you for re-electing me and Mr. Jordan and for Mrs. Gordon. You know, we all try to do our jobs to the best of our abilities. We know we cannot please everyone all the time, but we try to always look at the broad picture. And certainly, you know, hopefully that we can come to grips with some of the problems that we are confronted with. And we are working right now on we're meeting on Thursday with the Board of Education, and we have worked with questions that we want to try to get the discussion to move forward on that. And the courthouse, certainly, we hope to see that. It would be wonderful if we could have our meetings over there. That way we wouldn't have to be round from place to place looking for a home for the county commissioners. But listen, have a grand holiday. Looking forward to the new year and the challenges that they present us. And working together, we can accomplish a great many things. Thank you for coming. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to go in closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318, 11A on legal, economic development, and real estate and personnel matters.
So moved.
Motion been made. I have a second. Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. We'll take a short break. And move into that. Okay, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to come out of closed session.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of that say aye. And now I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.